Merry Christmas, gamers. Today we're going to be talking about massive Somali fraud. We're also going to be talking about a lot of pretty diabolical situations happening worldwide because there seemingly was a gigantic Islamist attack against Christmas. I mean, no one's surprised here if you've been on the channel long enough and you actually get the news, unlike everywhere else where no one tells you the news because it's Islamophobic. But this is the Israeli Foreign Ministry talking. The Holy Redeemer Church in Israel, in the Palestinian Authority, was firebombed. All right, there was lots of growing hostility towards Christians by Muslims, specifically Palestinians, where they would burn down Christmas trees and essentially firebomb churches. Which is not good, actually. I personally am not a fan of this at all. This is pretty shitty. This also is not limited to Israel. This is actually everywhere. This is Germany, where the German markets, first of all, there was an Islamist car ramming that tried to take place in the German Christmas parade, which was stopped by the police. And this is straight up the German markets getting absolutely overflowed by Islamists chanting that there is no God but Allah. Right? It's supposed to be like a wholesome Christmas market. Yeah, but yeah, this is horrible. You get the idea. Not super wholesome and inclusive. It's pretty weird. It's pretty weird. The very inclusive culture in the West brings in people that seemingly are not super inclusive. It's kind of weird how that keeps happening. And then we, the inclusive people, need to bend the knee to the not inclusive people that want to overthrow our religion and kill us. This is in Italy. People celebrating Christmas in Italy getting intimidated by Islamists. I've actually been here. It's a beautiful place.
I don't know what they are doing. Inshallah. Inshallah. I will go, inshallah, recite some Quran.
Wow. So anyway, you get guys going and just like, you know, basically harassing and annoying people in public in all these areas. And we're going to be talking about Somalia. I just felt like in honor of Christmas, we got to talk about this. This is in Copenhagen, Denmark. A bunch of Muslims set up a conversion stall near a Christmas tree, trying to convert Christians that visited the Christmas tree. In response, a bunch of Christians put up a giant sign saying "fuck Islam," and lots of Islamophobia happened. Right, so these guys came with trucks and loudspeakers blasting Arabic music, and there is no God but Allah. And the Christians responded with giant "fuck Islam" signs, which is pretty insane. The fact that this is happening in front of a Christmas tree is crazy. As someone that supports Islamophobia, as someone that supports a little bit of Islamophobia on Christmas, I have to say this is diabolical. But don't worry, this doesn't count as a public disturbance. Obviously, this does not count like any of that. No, this is just freedom of speech, I guess. Unless your freedom of speech is against Islam, in which case that's bad freedom of speech, which we don't support. Now, in this same spot in Copenhagen, Denmark, you have to see this, man. They literally came out en masse, all right, next to the giant Christmas tree of Radushpladsten, and they have hundreds of mosques in the city, by the way, but they didn't go to any of the mosques. They decided to go to the Christmas tree to basically intimidate anybody that actually wanted to go to the Christmas tree. I think we need to import way more of these. What do you think, guys? Yeah, anyway, you get the idea. But to show you exactly how cucked Europe actually got before we get into American politics, you have to understand the level of cucked that we're dealing with in Europe. Politico Europe wrote an article, far-right parties are claiming the festive season as their own, recasting Christmas as a marker of Christian civilization. Those far-right Nazis making Christmas all about Christians. That's crazy. Those Nazis calling Christmas a Christian holiday. I spit on thee. Disgusting. Horrible. Anyway, so that's what's going on in Europe. Absolutely diabolical. But now, let's talk about what's happening in America. In Somalia, capital of America, Minnesota, people are not ready for the level of destruction we are about to witness. So, Mayor Jacob Frey essentially goes out and says that ICE agents are gonna get killed if they try to deport Somalians.
I am increasingly concerned because of the chaos that is being caused by these ICE agents, that somebody is gonna get seriously injured or killed.
But when you say somebody, who do you mean?
Somebody is gonna get seriously injured or killed.
Who's the somebody?
And whether that is an ICE agent or...
Oh.
Or a community member, we all know the tinderbox that could explode because of it.
Oh.
We all know that the federal government is looking for reasons to deploy more and more people to Minneapolis. And
bro, if they would self-deport, no one would get deployed. Now, thousands of people are actually getting deployed in real time. But dude, stop it!
blue cities around the country.
Oh, dude. They're trying to send people to blue cities? You know, the fucking parasites in the country?
We all know that we cannot afford to lose a single Minneapolis resident because they
notice how he says resident. He doesn't say citizen. He doesn't say legal resident. Just the residents, even if they're illegal invaders.
Showed up and decided to protect their neighbors because they showed up and decided to express their constitutional right to free speech.
Yeah, so, in my opinion, and this is not just my opinion, this is a fact, anyone that's obstructing justice is committing a crime, and I think that their visas should be revoked, in my opinion.
And so that concern is deep. It is held, by the way, not just by me and our residents and the people who are standing up behind me. The concern about getting somebody killed is also held by our police officers.
Right, so the police are scared that they're gonna have to kill ICE agents, says Mayor Jacob Gay. This is insane, man. Truly crazy stuff to say. Like, actually insane things to say. Like, not even exaggerating. Now, this is a CARE member. CARE, for those of you that are unaware, this is a, an Islamic, it's like, dude, it's a Muslim Brotherhood-owned lobbying group, all right? Funded from Islamic countries, all right? So I don't even know why they're here. So for the record, they are designated terrorist groups in Florida, for example, and there are multiple other states that are trying to follow suit. It's not a designated terrorist organization in Minneapolis, obviously, in Minnesota. In Florida, they are, and I think they should become a United States, throughout the United States, should treat CARE as, you know, for a designated terrorist organization. So anyway, get ready to hear what this guy says from CARE. You are so not prepared for the level of warfare we are witnessing. You are literally not ready for what he is about to say.
Urging today, obviously, most importantly, for people to understand that this wasn't just some organic effort. It wasn't just some story or people are sharing. This is a well-articulated and organized campaign against our...
All right, so let's understand. There is an organized campaign against the Somali community. Now, this is obvious. Now, let's come up with the reasons. All right, let's come up with the reasons. Why would there be an organized campaign against the Somali community? Option 1, they're retarded and not contributing to the country in any way. Option 2, they have committed $9 to $18 billion of fraud that they have been used to funnel and support the Al-Shabaab terrorist organization back in Somalia. All right, that's option 2. All right, option 3, 87% of them are on welfare and they're a giant leech to our country. All right. Option 4, the Jews! It's the Jews! All right, so pick which one of those 4 you think he's gonna say why there is an organized effort against the Somali community. Guess, guys, guess. All right, guess. So I'm seeing a lot of different numbers in chat. Everyone's thinking something else. All right, let's see.
And for many of the conservative members of our community, I want to specifically name that this fight or this conversation is happening because there is a major debate about whether we are America first, we care about America and America's interests, or we are Israeli first, then.
Wait, you think the reason why we're hating on Somalians is because Ben Shapiro gave a speech? Excuse me? No, dude, no. This is literally America first. The most America first stance of all time is we don't want to import people that are literally leeches on society that commit increased amounts of sex crimes and are defrauding us. Okay, defrauding our country for $9 to $18 billion. Bro really comes out here and be like, it's the Jews. Holy retard, Batman. This is crazy.
America first, because I know for sure that this campaign mirrors the same campaign targeting Candace Owen and Tucker.
No, it's not.
Carlson.
What? He thinks that the campaign to deport Somalian illegal aliens that are defrauding our country to fund terrorism is the same as people criticizing Candace Owens for making up bullshit conspiracy theories about the murder of Charlie Kirk. Literally, what are we talking about? This has nothing to do with anything. Sir, your 67 IQ is showing.
Major influencers on the conservative side who have garnered tremendous support in the younger generation of Republicans who are refusing to accept.
Bro, literally zero of the younger generation of Republicans are like, yo, we gotta stand with the Somalians of Minnesota against Israel. This is the greatest timeline of all time. Oh my God.
Refusing to accept that America will continue to take the wars of Israel, destabilize the Middle East, lose American soldiers, lose our own tax dollars while committing carnage in the lives of Muslims.
Please stop. I'm dying. I can't believe this is a real speech. I can't believe this is a real speech, man.
Many of these young generation today have woken up. They have lost their blind support to Israel first. And because Israel first politicians and Israel first influencers are now using these tactics to almost undermine the efforts what's happening. And that would make a lot more sense to those individuals and those groups.
Somalians defraud us of $9 billion. How can Israel do this? This is just like what's happening to Candace Owens.
Because they would understand this, what is actually taking
Ben Shapiro and his little hat. Bro, this might be one of the greatest responses to this controversy of all time. Literally one of the greatest. Look, dude, when I was like waiting for the Somalian community response, when I was waiting for that, I was like, what are they gonna do? Like, what direction are they gonna go? I did not see this one coming at all, bro. Did not see this coming at all. For the record, the Somali community over the last 2 years defrauded America more than 5 times the amount of foreign aid that was actually given to Israel. This is like levels of retard that no one has ever seen coming. Wow, that's awesome. That's literally awesome. I've never seen anything better than that. Anyway, this is the Boston mayor, Michelle Wu, running defense for Somalians.
You cannot talk about any achievement that the city of Boston has had in safety, jobs, and economic development, in education, without talking about the Somali community.
Thank you, foreigner, for explaining to us that the Boston Tea Party was actually done by the Somalian community.
That has lifted our city up. We are proud and we are grateful for our Somali community and for our Somali American neighbors.
Sure. Because they vote for you. Because they vote for you. Isn't that incredible? Isn't it amazing that this happens? Like, I think it's just awesome. So, this is being sarcastic. So the leftoids, they import inbred retard population, and they vote for the left. And all the left needs to do is turn a blind eye to their infinite fraud jutsu. And we import an entire nation of pirates. Isn't this incredible?
Boston and the country are clear that hate has no place in our society. We will use every attack to actually strengthen and expand the services available, to empower and work alongside our community members who are already doing so much good in the world and setting an example for the rest of the country.
Yeah, I mean, aside from Thomas Jefferson, none of the founding fathers were Somali. So I don't even know what she's talking about. Anyway, Tim Walz, or as we know him, Tampon Tim, the seriously retarded governor of Minnesota, Tim Walz, he recently gave a speech calling J.D. Vance a Nazi because J.D. Vance said white people shouldn't apologize for existing.
So this is what happens when your own federal government wages war against you. This is what happens when they target communities for their own benefit. This is what happens when they scapegoat. And this is what happens when they no longer hide the idea of white supremacy when you hear the Vice President of the United States talk about now white people won't have to apologize for being white. That's never happened once in my whole damn life.
There were infinite parades of telling white people to just pay reparations and stuff. Get out of here.
And I think everybody in this room knows what they're doing.
Yeah, what are we doing?
We're here today to say enough of this. We're here today to stand that Minnesota will protect their neighbors. So,
dude, these people are awesome. Like, these people are actually awesome. They're incredible. They're awesome. All right, so anyway, here's a pretty good side-by-side. It felt like it was important. Tim Walz, no one ever apologized for being white.
And this is what happens when they no longer hide the idea of white supremacy when you hear the Vice President of the United States talk about now white people won't have to apologize for being white.
White people don't need to apologize for being white. That's just white supremacy in a nutshell.
That's never happened once in my whole damn life.
We pat ourselves on the back sometimes that we acknowledge we have the worst racial disparities. I understand that the privilege I've been given as a white man and the privilege of sitting in the office of governor, that privilege had better be used to not just talk about the problem, but to solve the problem.
And this is what
so that was just him apologizing for being white. Are we on the same page? I'm really glad we're on the same page. That's pretty awesome. I think that's pretty awesome. Do you think that's awesome? I think that's awesome. Hell yeah, dude, you fucking gay retard. So anyway, to understand the level of fraud going on in Minnesota, first you have to understand, before we even talk about the financial fraud, you have to understand the election fraud, because I think that's even worse. So this is Stephen Miller on Fox News talking about the election fraud side of all of this.
Add up to. Why are they engaged in all this? What is their objective here? It's the Somalification of America. In other words,
I love this guy. Stephen Miller's awesome. Bro has been cooking like crazy.
When you see the state of Somalia, that's what they want for America at the end of the day, because it's easier to rule over an empire of ashes than it is for the Democratic Party to rule over a functioning, Western, high-trust society with a strong middle class.
That one line might have unironically been the most poignant political commentary I've heard in a long time. The left would rather rule a country of smoldering ashes than actually kind of find a way to, talk to, educated Western people. Actual cinema. The Somalification of America is diabolical.
Look how powerful the Democrat Party became in Minnesota once they flooded it with 100,000 Somalians.
That's it. And this is everywhere. This is not just Somalians. This is Haitians. This is other immigrants in other areas. And the Democrats, in my opinion, they can't win with logic. They're still fighting over how men should be allowed in women's locker rooms and in women's sports. All right, they are fighting for the castration of children and the abortion of babies. Like, they are not fighting for the future of Americans, obviously. So instead, they are literally importing retards that rely on the benevolence of actual functional members of society. And they, through emotional manipulation, convince people to vote for them, and they'll import a community and they will never lose that state again. And that's their goal. And before we even talk about the fraud, I think it's super important to realize that they conquered Somalia. They conquered Somalia. They conquered Minnesota. They conquered Minnesota by doing this. They knew that Minnesota was going to be a fight, that, it was two sides here that were both fighting, you never knew which direction it would go. And they decided, let's just plop down a community of 100,000 Somalians that will always want to be 87% on welfare and always vote left every single time. And that's how you democratically conquer a country.
Once the elections were decided, right, by clan rivalries and ethnic feuds, once that happened, the Democrat Party became permanently powerful in Minnesota.
Yeah, it's over.
They became permanently powerful in the Twin Cities. That's their model for America, to make the whole country into a version of Somalia. And everything they do gets down to that. So what I'm thankful for this Thanksgiving, I praise God every day that Donald Trump is our president. And we've gone from 30% inflation, 20 million illegals, unlimited refugees.
Yeah. Anyway, they really are planning for the Somalification of America. And I think that's true. Now, I hope you're ready to see fraud, because the fraud is bad. Like, dude, it's the party. Like, you can never wrap your head around the hypocrisy, because on the left, it's the party that fights for women's rights, right? If you look at me crooked, it's rape. All right. If you look at me in a way that I don't consent, that's rape. All right. Did you reply to my tweet? You raped me. Everything's rape. Protect women, etc. And then you import 100,000 people from a country where they don't think rape is bad. Excuse me. What are we doing? But again, they just emotionally manipulate and gaslight these people into thinking that makes sense. So, dude, you have to see this clip, because this is one of the most diabolical clips I've ever seen in my life. Just look at the level of scam.
Here in Minnesota, massive fraud is taking place within the government and the Somali population. Here, this building alone, Quality Learning Center, is a daycare, yet they spelled learning wrong.
Look at this, bro. They spelt Quality Learning Center. This place was taking in millions of dollars of taxpayer funds, and they spelled learning wrong on the learning center. If this wouldn't be a tragedy, a national tragedy, it would be hilarious.
And they said leering. This daycare alone in 2025 has received $1.9 million from
the government, and by government I mean taxpayers. Taxpayers gave $1.9 million to this shack called the Quality Learning Center.
The government. And the strange things about these childcare centers is there's no one here right now.
And it's empty. So $1.9 million of taxpayer money goes to a shack to teach children where they spell learning wrong on the shack, and there are no children.
Midday on a weekday, if you were to try to go inside, it's completely closed and the windows are all blacked out. No one's working. Midday, children should be in here, and this place is licensed for 99 children. And this is—
You're gonna fit 99 children in this shack?
Outside. There's no windows, no nothing. And
bro, dude, I'm telling you, man, whoever came up with this scan has an IQ of 6'7".
And like I said, they literally spelt the word wrong on their sign. Bro. This is open and blatant fraud taking place here inside of Minnesota. The government is—
You want to know the real question? How did no one notice this? How did no one know this until you have fucking YouTuber guys show up and if you're like, wait a second, that says the Quality Leering Center. What? Oh, that's weird.
Sit with this, and this is just one of the hundreds of child daycare centers here inside of Minneapolis being ran by the Somali population. It's sad that it's happening here in Minnesota, and it stinks that it's happening and it's being labeled on the Somali population. However, that's just the facts of what's happening here.
Yeah, it's really not sad that it's on the Somali community because they did it. So I literally have zero remorse or, you know, I don't feel bad for them at all. It's like, oh man, I can't believe the Somali community is getting exposed for scamming people for millions of dollars. No, I don't feel bad for them at all, actually.
Inside of Minnesota, $1.9 million for this daycare center that can't even spell learning right.
That's crazy. Nuts, you're underestimating the amount of illiteracy. They didn't have one guy look at this building, all right? This is dark as shit. Fake businesses everywhere. Taxpayer-funded Children Leering Center. Bro, what are we doing? What are we doing? We're literally killing ourselves in real time. Like, we are actually killing ourselves. Now, you don't understand. You don't understand. Now that this is becoming a big story, people are starting to actually figure out exactly what the scam is.
Here in Minnesota, a local realtor reached out to me to tell me about another way that Somalians are scamming Minnesotans out of their taxpayer dollars.
There it is, baby. We imported pirates. You think they're only scamming us on one front? You absolute buffoon. They are scamming us on multiple fronts.
In her community alone, Somalians have bought up over 455 homes. They buy these homes, claiming they're turning these homes into home health care centers.
And the government's like, okay, we believe you. We're not going to double check. We're just going to let that happen. Let's give you some taxpayer money.
She says the way we know Somalians have bought these homes is because all of a sudden, extremely nice cars start showing up. Mercedes, BMWs, and nice—
I'm telling you, man, that's that 67 IQ on overdrive. Bro, if I was scamming people, all right, not trying to be controversial here, okay? Not trying to be controversial, but if I was scamming the country for billions of dollars, I would not be buying fancy cars. I would not want attention to me. So you got these guys. You have to understand the retardation. 87% of these people are unemployed. All right, they're on welfare, full welfare. They're unemployed, and they're driving around Mercedes, BMWs, and fancy cars, and they own real estate. Bro, I'm telling you, this is the lowest IQ scam of all time. Like, I'm like, it's actually infuriating that they got away with this because realistically, the government let this happen.
These cars are parked in the driveway. And she said, by law, the state will not come out and inspect these homes and make sure these homes even have clients living in these homes. She also said—
So they don't even check. They don't even check. It's actually unbelievable. It's unbelievable that we're doing this.
As a realtor, she cannot disclose to people—
And 455 homes. Guys, we have a housing crisis. Did you hear we have a housing crisis? Bernie Sanders, the communist, had something to say. We have a major housing crisis. In 1991, the typical first-time home buyer was 28 years old. This year, that buyer was 40. Decent housing's a human right. Instead, the tax breaks for billionaires. We need to invest in low-income and affordable housing. Sir, you own 3 houses. Sir, you own literally 3 houses. Not even joke. You literally have 3 houses. So why don't you give 2 of them away? That's first. Second of all, deporting 10 million illegals would help. Deporting 20 million illegals would solve the problem. Deporting 30 million illegals would make America a paradise. Oh my God, dude. It's crazy. So yeah, fuck off, Bernie. Anyway, that's what I'm trying to say. Fuck off, Bernie. That's the conclusion here. So yeah, so you got the Somali community, who's on welfare, by the way, on government-funded, aka taxpayer-funded welfare, owning 455 additional houses that they are claiming are health centers. So they get a house and get paid to have no job Are we understanding how badly we are getting fucked?
People wanting to buy homes in this neighborhood that Somalians have
Good luck buying a home in this neighborhood.
Bought that home, and they're using that as a home health care center. She said these homes can even take people in who've just been released from jail. And
isn't that nice? Because the jail rates are insane.
The neighborhood does not need to know about this.
They don't even need to tell you. So here's how it works. They buy up 455 homes, basically funded by the government because they're healthcare centers, and they fill them with criminals that woke judges are releasing because it's Islamophobic to keep them in jail. And then the entire community goes to shit because realistically they're surrounded by neighbors that are not working, that are living for free in housing, that are, you know, convicted rapists and shit. Are we understanding what they're doing to our country?
But she says many of these homes do not even have clients in them. But the state is writing them checks every month for the clients that the Somalians say are in these homes.
And that's the grift. That's the money grift. That's right. They can't afford to help Americans. No, Americans can't afford houses because the housing market's so expensive. But the Somali community, who doesn't have jobs, 80% of them don't have a job, those guys get houses for free. And they get a salary paycheck monthly from the government for a house that they got for free. Are we understanding?
And these Somalians are making millions of dollars off of these homes every year. The Somalians have figured out exactly the perfect plan as to how to scam Minnesota taxpayers out of their money. They are banking on this, making millions of dollars. And the government here,
dude, if this isn't making you racist, I'm not doing well enough. I'm gonna keep trying.
Is too lazy to go and check it out and to see if there's even clients living in these homes. The fraud in Minnesota is so deep. Let me know your thoughts on this one.
Yeah, and this is just Minnesota, all right? Imagine what they're doing in California. Imagine what they're doing in California. Oh my God, what a nightmare. What a nightmare. So this is a Minnesota mayor from a different city in Minnesota crashing out on Tim Walz.
Well, I don't understand what difference that makes to anyone else. How would anyone else be approached or confronted if they stole money from someone? They would all be acknowledged and have to go forward with the consequences of their actions. You know, we're sitting here bearing the brunt of everything: tax hikes, gas taxes, property taxes, boating taxes, gas taxes. We can't go anywhere. We can't go fishing. And he's afraid to offend someone. Well, what about me? I know my town, we're all offended that we're paying for all of this fraud to go on, and it's just coming out now when they've known about it for years. What's going to happen now? And let's just call it what it is. It's stealing. It's not, it's stealing. You're stealing from the state of Minnesota.
Duh. You imported pirates and they started pillaging your booty.
You're stealing from the taxpayers that make this state the great state that it is. And
that it was.
Or are we going to recoup from that?
Yeah. Pretty crazy. Accountability for Democrats. Hilarious, am I right? Because no one ever gets fucking punished here. But this is crazy, dude. This is absolute insanity that we need to live like this. It's crazy world. It's frustrating and it's infuriating. And honestly, it should make you a little bit racist. Bro, dude, Representative Comer reveals that 75% of Somalians are on welfare.
Because they don't want to offend that population.
We don't want to offend the Somalians, so we don't call them retarded, lazy people. We don't want to offend them by saying, can you please stop raping our children? We don't really like that here in America.
And the early numbers that I'm getting in on the Somalis in Minnesota is 75%.
The early numbers
of the Somalis in Minnesota are on full government assistance.
That's full. All right. Full. I'm not talking about government subsidies. Full assistance. 73/4 of them are on full government, aka taxpayer, assistance.
Welfare. The whole reason that the Democrats left the border open during the Biden administration was to allow people to come in and what they said would provide jobs, you know, because there's a shortage of workers.
Oh, get out of here.
Workers. But you got a massive population in that one state, and the overwhelming majority of that population is on Medicaid, and then and other types of government programs. Even when Democrats say there are no illegals on Medicaid, I think that's going to be proven to be false.
Look in Minnesota, right.
Yeah.
Chairman.
Yeah, right. Right. Yeah, duh. Obviously. Duh. Minnesota's still bad, though. Now, you have to understand how bad Minnesota is. Minnesota mandates new requirements to teach ethnic studies in elementary through high schools. All right, you have to see the school system in Minnesota because this is they are literally mind raping children to think that this is good.
In this week's episode of Coming to a Classroom Near You, we look at the new requirement to teach ethnic studies in all K-12 schools in Minnesota, which...
Minnesota, ladies and gentlemen, we import retards and then we teach people why the retards are actually better than us. Isn't that nice? Isn't that nice? We import the retards. They don't need to go to school. That's okay. Their IQ is 6'7". We don't need. That's fine. All right, but what we do need to do is we need to teach the actual Americans how the Americans are inferior and these other cultures are actually better.
Must be implemented in 2026. Ethnic studies includes 3 distinct standards: identity, resistance, and ways of knowing and methodologies.
Literally none of this should be in school.
The Center for Race, Indigeneity, Disability, Gender, and Sexuality Studies at the University of Minnesota, or RIDGES, is converting these new ethnic studies standards into free lesson plans for school districts. RIDGES' self-declared mission is to challenge systems of power and inequality.
Literally, why is this in school? And you want to know the craziest thing? Like, you thought we were just getting fucked by importing pirates. Who's funding these schools? These are public schools. Who's funding these? Taxpayers. Taxpayers. We are paying for this against our will. Do you understand what we're doing here? Oh my God. That's why whenever I hear people like, dude, political pundits on the right are so frustrating right now. You know, everyone's arguing about, different online trolls and shit. Dude, we are actually getting blindsided and blasted in our own country, and you're yelling and screaming at each other about Israel? Like, God, bro.
And imagine
both
social
sides. This is the real both sides. The real both sides are the pro-Israel guys that are only talking about Israel and the anti-Israel guys that are talking about Israel. They're literally mind-raping our children.
Information. Let's take a look at one of these taxpayer-funded lesson plans from the U of M. This first one is for 6th graders, 12-year-olds, and fulfills the Ethnic Studies Resistance Standard, which instructs students to organize and describe how individuals and communities have fought for freedom and liberation against systemic and coordinated exercises of power.
Isn't that nice? This is literally teaching kids to become little communist revolution soldiers. Not even exaggerating. That's literally what this is saying. How you could fight for freedom and liberation against systemic power, which means fucking nothing. Oh my God, dude.
It's called Protest Art and the...
Dude, I was such a racist when I was a kid. It's crazy. I remember I had a French teacher, and my French teacher was telling me to write like this story, and the prompt for the story was, oh my God, I'm gonna sound so bad, but I was literally a kid, so you can't hold this against me. And the prompt for the story was, and you go and you meet this kid from a very different background as you. Let's say an incredibly religious Muslim. And you meet him and you become best friends with him and talk about how you unite and how everything goes great. And I started writing this essay about it because, first of all, that I was in high school in Canada. All right. So this was like obviously Canada retard shit. So, I'm writing this story and I'm making it like, flowery, talking about how awesome it was. And I remember my French teacher said to me, this is completely unrealistic. Like, write a story like that would be real. I said it wouldn't be real because I'm never going to be friends with a very religious Muslim. They want me dead. The French teacher just looked at me in shock. It was like a liberal lady. She looks at me in shock and she asks to speak to my parents. And she goes to my parents and she tells my parents this story and my parents are just sitting there nodding along. And they're like, well, to be honest. Anyway, we don't need enough of that.
Movement for Black Lives. Designed to take place over 3 days, the lesson focuses on the movement for Black lives and the role of protest art in mediating power in the city. Students will watch a video about George Floyd Square produced by...
Bro, there's a mandatory George Floyd glazing contest in Minneapolis, Minnesota. What? Like, this is crazy.
Corn Riot, a nonprofit left-wing media collective that films Antifa and Black Lives Matter rallies across the country. Students will also learn how local artists responded to the death of George Floyd during the 2020 riots through mural art.
This is crazy. These were all criminals. Every single one of these. George Floyd was a criminal, and the people that protested for George Floyd and burnt houses and looted places were criminals. They are literally indoctrinating kids to become little shit disturbers, anti-American criminals. What are we doing? This is crazy.
Students will create their own protest art for a cause of their choice. They will even research where in the
protest art? What is happening?
City the art could go. One of the suggestions for protest art from the U of M is defunding the police.
Unbelievable. Actually unbelievable.
Next, they will work through the Black Lives Matter Principles Activity Book, which features all 13 Black Lives Matter principles and definitions.
Yeah, even though Black Lives Matter ended up being a giant scam.
Principles reflect the organization's thoughts on families, disrupting the Western prescribed nuclear family structure.
Well, now we know why 13% of the country commits over 50% of the violent crimes. And it's literally this culture's fault. It's an inferior culture is what I'm saying. Not black people in general. But the way these cultures are actually built, you know, disrupting the nuclear family. Yeah, true. It's anti-Bible.
And
it's anti-God. It's anti-real life.
Transgender affirmation to dismantle cisgender privilege. Again, this will be coming to all Minnesota public schools beginning in 2026.
All right, I'm glad. We're all on the same page. You're all on the same page. They're killing us. They're literally killing us. They're indoctrinating children from the womb.
When ethnic studies was presented to the Minnesota legislature in 2023, it was portrayed as the study of different cultures, students seeing themselves in the curriculum and learning honest history. But like so many
honest history,
many other familiar terms, Minnesota's version of ethnic studies has been hijacked to apply a liberated approach to understanding our world. Minnesota students deserve a robust education that includes learning hard historical truths and frank discussions on where this country has fallen short.
Yeah, so hard historical truths. Black communities are overwhelmingly violent and commit overwhelmingly high amount of crimes per capita. And that's crazy. And in my opinion, the major reason is the destruction of the nuclear family and the fact that they are honestly directly indoctrinated into societies where they're sitting there, as taught by schools that they are infinite victims and they could never escape systemic racism. And their families are all falling apart. There are all tons of single mothers, statistically. Male role models end up in jail, and then they end up in jail. And it's horrible. And it's disgusting. And it's tragic. And the left failed these guys.
Not one that is confined to a narrow, politicized, and ideological worldview. Recently, California rejected a statewide ethnic studies mandate because it was too divisive.
Yeah, it was too divisive, but Minnesota is all for it because Minnesota is completely retarded. They're like, I know you saw on the news a lot of negative things about the Somalis, but think about it this way. Despite their 67 IQ, they were still able to scam us for billions of dollars. Isn't that a nice thing? Well, this is about to be a nice thing. This is Abd Sajmed AJ Awed. All right, this is someone in Minneapolis. Get ready. Get ready. You're about to hear a truth nuke. As a man who believes in greater Somalia. I'm supporting it by force.
Other thing that ka hadlayo annaga as far as the vision of this urur ma aha dalkan.
It's not about America.
I think the Minnesota Somali community.
It's not about America. It's about Somalia.
runta beenta inta la iska daayay way Soomaalida Minnesota joogo wili xiran yihiin Soomaalida ma garateen ururkan wiligood ma ka bixi karto annaga hada Soomaali nahay si u dadaa si wadankeeni iyo dadkeeni iyo si loo caawiyo anaga.
Our purpose in America is to help our people in Somalia. We need to gather the resources we have right now that they're getting literally for free.
Resource
if that's our brothers sisters with power like the ones who sit in Congress.
So it's a really important and humble you and inshallah.
Yeah, so inshallah, the Somalians that don't care about America will come in and pillage our land and take that money and send it back to Somalia to make Somalia better. That's treason. That's fucked up. These people should lose their citizenship. Even if this person is a fully legal citizen at this point, he should lose his citizenship because he obviously lied on his oath of becoming an American. This is crazy. This is absolute insanity. Holy shit. Absolute insanity. I've never even heard of something like this. Like literally deport. Get them the fuck out. That's crazy. Not all Somalians, but a lot of them. The mayor of Peterson, New Jersey, declared that New Jersey is not an American city, it is a Palestinian city. Patterson is the capital of the Palestine of the United States of America. This is a 15-minute speech where he glazes Palestinians in honor of Christmas because he says that Jesus was a Muslim. Palestinian. I know, that sounds like fake news, right? That doesn't sound real, right? That doesn't sound real. That's how retarded it sounds. But they've been putting billboards up everywhere. This is Times Square. Merry Christmas, Jesus is Palestinian. Palestine didn't exist. And it's not a joke, for the record. This isn't a joke. A lot of these guys are saying this now as like the new talking points. Palestine didn't exist. In fact, Palestine was never a country. A lot of people don't know this, but there was never a country called Palestine. There was the British mandate of Palestine at some point. But no, it was never. Jesus was born in Judea, Israel. Anyway, so, anywho, classic stuff. So Jesus was Palestinian. In honor of Christmas, they wanted to talk about how, Patterson, New Jersey is the capital of Palestine in America. And in case you don't think this is a hostile takeover, this is in Dearborn, Michigan.
The word, and with a decree of yours you will annihilate them. Ya Rahimin, you annihilated. And you destroyed the likes of Ad and Thamud and Fir'aun. These are the Fir'auns and the Ad and Thamud of today. Ya Rahimin, we ask you, Ya Allah, destroy them. Destroy them, Allah. Take them off the surface of this earth. Ya Rahimin, Ya Rahimin.
Yeah, who do you think they were talking about? Who do you think they were talking about where they were sitting there praying to Allah to annihilate them and destroy them? Humiliate polytheism and the polytheists. That's what they call Christians. See them one by one and do not spare one of them. Remember, this doesn't count as criminal speech. This is in America? Yeah, this is in Dearborn, Michigan, in America.
اللهم يا ربنا إنهم يجاهدون في سبيل اللهم إنهم يجاهدون في سبيلي اللهم انصرهم يا رب العالمين اللهم انصرهم أعدائهم يا رب العالمين اللهم عليك باليهود.
Oh Allah, annihilate the Jews and the Christians.
اللهم عليك اليهود وأعوانهم فإنهم لا يعجزون اللهم احصهم عددا اللهم احصهم عددا واقتلهم بددا ولا تغادر منهم أحدا يا رب العالمين.
عليك بالصليبيين اللهم عليك بهم فإنهم لا يعجزون عليهم يا رب العالمين اللهم نصرك الذي وعدت عليه.
You get the idea. You got the idea. It's pretty insane that this is happening. Anyway, this is in New York City. The new police chief of New York City, as you can see, is equipped for the job, obviously. Definitely someone that'll stand up to violent illegals. And this is her giving a course about how women should be wearing hijabs.
I've been wearing hijab for 15 years as an NYPD member of service, and I'm super proud of this department of where we came. We came from where there was barely any Muslim officers to where we have over 1,200 members of service.
An armed force of 1,200 members of service. That's pretty great. That's pretty awesome, man.
And over 10 ladies wearing hijab as a member of service, uniform member of service.
Wow.
And I think that's awesome. And I'm looking for another 100,000 ladies wearing hijabs in the
That's not a joke. She's not joking.
future as an NYPD.
That's not a joke. She's laughing, but she's not joking.
I also want to say a message to the sisters in the room. Wear your hijab, sisters. Be confident in it. Don't let nobody tell you different. Wear it with pride.
This is an official police department speech in New York.
Right? Because remember, we wear it for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala first, and everything else is going to fall in place. It's okay to be different. It's okay. New York City, we are all different in here. Nobody is same. So
that was the plan. Import enough people to make everyone different.
Be comfortable, wear it with confidence. Don't feel like your hijab have to stop you from going advancement in your career, in your dreams.
That's right. That's right. Hijabs are feminism now.
Anything you want to do, you can do it. And again, I say this with all true sincerity because I'm a mother of 3 girls myself. Your hijab does not stop you from doing anything. I'm standing here. Look at me. I'm here. I can do it. You can do it. Okay?
Wow, she's so brave.
So if I can do it, any of you ladies can do it and do better than me. Don't let nobody tell you you can't. You can. The word I can't does not exist in your vocabulary. Okay? So I'm not going to take up too much time, but I love you all, and I'm so excited for you guys to be here. Assalamu alaikum. Thank you.
Yeah, it's getting scary out there. I'm not gonna lie. It's getting a little bit hairy. It's getting hairy. Is she a DEI hire? I don't know, man. This is pretty crazy. It's pretty wild. I don't know what to tell you. All I do know is that there is a rule in Islam that you beat your wife out of love. So I wonder if she's really fulfilling the tenets of Islam properly. Now, if you thought Minnesota was bad, get ready until you get introduced to what's going on in California.
California Congressman Kevin Kiley, he is sounding the alarm in his home state, saying under Governor Gavin Newsom's leadership, it has become the, quote, fraud capital of America.
And we have team coverage. Our national correspondent Alana Austin is on Capitol Hill with more on the investigations into Tim Walz. But we start with correspondent Heather Myers, who has more on what is going on in California. A rainy day out there on the West Coast. Heather, what can you tell us?
Well, good afternoon to you, Katrina and Andrew. This latest report was issued by the state auditor, and that's a nonpartisan position. That state auditor now puts 8 state agencies on the high-risk list
of
agencies to watch out for things like fraud as well as waste. Here's a look at that 92-page report. Newly added to the high-risk list is California's food stamp program. If the state...
Boy, California, we're opening up the doors to fraud everywhere. Oh my God, it's literally gonna come down to votes from the retards, the emotional manlets, and the immigrants versus the actual Americans that want America to flourish as a country.
Doesn't get the improper payments under control, it could cost an extra $2.5 billion. Also on there is the Department of Finance, which was tasked with giving out COVID relief funds. Critics say $32 billion of that was taken.
$32 billion of COVID relief
by fraudsters. Then there are
$32 billion of COVID relief taken by fraudsters, man.
Structure issues like California's deteriorating dams and also the high-speed train that's already cost taxpayers $18 billion without a single section of track complete.
That's absolutely insane. Now, for those of you that are not paying attention to the train, Governor Newsom is promising a high-speed train for so long because there's so much bad traffic in California, and he's been promising this train for years, for over a decade. Now, this train cost $18 billion and made zero progress. 18 billion, zero progress. How is that not fraud?
Other reports cite $24 billion spent on the homeless issue.
Yep, and the homeless numbers increased.
Critics claim the state lost track of. More recently,
they spent $24 billion to end homelessness, and now there's over 35,000 more homeless people than before they spent the money to fix it.
The report that says California cell phone users paid a surcharge for years to upgrade the state's 911 system. Here's Congressman Kevin Kiley talking about what happened to that plan.
That after spending $650 million on that system, the state is totally scrapping it and starting over, completely wasted the money because the technology doesn't work. Mind you, we are very close to Silicon Valley in Sacramento, and yet the government can't figure out how to make basic technology perform.
That's pretty bad. Just in, new reports allege 76.5 billion or more in fraud in California. Guys, there's a reason why California is third world living at first world prices. Guys, I don't think we're ready. I don't think we're ready for the actual the countrywide exposing that's actually happening. It's crazy. And I think a lot of it's tied to the immigration issue, the fact that they're literally using illegal immigrants to commit these crimes and to help them conduct these scams. So I think every blue state is going to be like this. And this is billions with a B. This is crazy. Get ready until you hear what New York is all about. We know that New York was spending billions on funding houses for illegals. This is crazy. The actual enemy of America are the left. They're the enemies of America. The domestic threat is here. The orcs are in the Shire. Bro, people don't realize how bad it is. I'm just gonna show you the intro of this new Cash Jordan video that he just dropped, because it's insane. It's insane. 1,000-man mob stormed Minneapolis, and the Marines defied the mayor.
Video and pictures show federal agents using pepper spray on a crowd out in a Minneapolis neighborhood with a large Somali population. Federal agents with guns were going into area restaurants, stopping people at random.
And the reason they're armed is because the mobs in Minnesota are out in full force, trying to stop the federal government in its tracks. But with the ICE director saying there's no shortage of fugitives hiding in this sanctuary, it looks like the combat taking place on the streets here is just beginning, especially since the rioters have promised to never surrender.
Tonight, ICE agents in frigid Minneapolis as they surround this home, looking for a suspect charged with criminal conduct.
They tried to stop an undocumented immigrant, but he ran back inside his house.
They're actually snatching people from
Yeah, I'm really glad they're starting to arrest people that are stopping the deportation of illegals.
Customers and employees alike are afraid to leave their homes.
Many people say, oh, they're fearful because they don't have papers. No, that is not correct. They're fearful because they're Latinos being targeted.
The individual they were after entered illegally in 2023, and the arresting officer, he got into a fight with him, and he attempted to get his weapon. This is an individual who was then booked into Minneapolis PD, but before they could get all the paperwork done for an ICE detainer, he was released on the street.
First-class plane tickets, luxury cars, fine jewelry, all these things allegedly bought by Minnesota fraudsters with taxpayer money intended for hungry children.
I would say this is happening in other...
Dude, that side-by-side is crazy. You get Tim Waltz smiling next to this dude. Next picture, dude's in handcuffs going to jail.
States with other social programs.
I said
crazy.
Around 100 federal agents are now part of this operation in the Twin Cities, with more than 50 arrests just today.
50 arrests just today. Oh my God, bro, they are cooking. Yeah, we need full audits for all these states. We need to launch the fucking feds everywhere. We have to fight for our country, because the next election we lose might be the last election. So anyway, I'm excited to see where we go from here. This is literally a fight for the future of Western civilization, because as I showed you in the beginning, Europe is already cooked. Europe is so cooked, man. Germany, Amsterdam, Italy, bro, so unbelievably cooked. We are the last bastion of Western civilization fighting back against this shit. And the reality is, we cannot lose. Our backs are to the wall, and we cannot lose. So anyway, thanks for being here. Hope you enjoyed. I definitely did. I think this was wild. Opening up what was actually going on in Minnesota. All the scams, all the garbage, all the screaming. Quality Leering Center, bro. Quality Leering Center. Unbelievable. Burning down churches everywhere. Even in Israel, bro. Palestinians burning down churches. Unreal. But anyway, anywho, thanks for being here. We will cover more retards in the next one, but the retards today have been stellar. We've had stellar retards today. The Somalification of America will not fucking happen. Merry Christmas, and have a good one. Bye. Like, subscribe, and this video was streamed live on kick.com/Nuxanor. See you there. Stay weird, fam.